مشاهدينا مرحبا بكم في حوارات السياق. التقى وفد عماني سعودي مع رئيس المجلس السياسي الأعلى للحوثيين مهدي المشاط في صنعاء. يأتي اللقاء ضمن جهود جارية من أجل التوصل إلى اتفاق وقف إطلاق نار دائم في اليمن. عموما للمزيد من المتابعة حول هذا الملف ينضم إلينا جيرالد فيرستين السفير الأمريكي السابق في اليمن. أستاذ جيرالد مرحبا بك معنا.
It's a pleasure.
اتفاق السعودية وإيران هل أحيا أمال إنهاء الحرب في اليمن؟
Well, I think that it's certainly given a positive momentum. There were three parallel tracks that were being pursued, and all of them are making progress. There's the Saudi-Iranian track, where we've seen an agreement for them to reestablish diplomatic relations and maybe expand their cooperation. There was a Saudi Houthi track, which the Omanis have been mediating for some months now, which also seems to be making progress. And then there is the track that the UN is leading, Hans Grunberg, the UN Special Envoy, which has succeeded in getting the parties to agree to a prisoner exchange, as well as perhaps to return to negotiations after the Eid. So all three of them are moving forward, and hopefully they all reinforce one another.
لعلك تتفق معي أن الأزمة اليمنية تغيرت على مدى السنوات، الفاعلون فيها تغيرت أهميتهم كذلك. هل بتنا الآن أمام مشكلة يمنية بدل من حرب بالوكالة عن أطراف إقليمية؟
Well, I think that's right. I think that that we have to keep in mind that this is fundamentally a civil war between and among Yemenis. The reasons that the two sides are fighting are all from inside Yemen, about the political and economic and social future of the country. The Saudis intervened some months after the war started to prevent the Houthis from seizing control of the country through military operations. And they prevented that, but they haven't been able to force the Houthis to come back to the negotiating table. So now we hope that perhaps there is some new opportunity for the Houthis and the government of Yemen and the Yemeni people to negotiate a political end to the conflict.
السعوديون واقعيون في آمالهم، وسائل إعلامهم تتحدث عن هدنة لبحث المسائل الخلافية.
Well, I think that that's exactly right. That there is, one of the key things has been there was an agreement on a ceasefire, on a truce a year ago, which was continued for 6 months, but then the Houthis refused to extend it. Now there's hope that there will be agreement on a new truce for another 6 months that would give time for the parties to negotiate. And that seems to be really the focus of the effort right now, is to extend the truce and then begin political negotiations.
هل الولايات المتحدة متصالحة مع فكرة اتفاق سلام يمني نتج عن تطبيع علاقة السعودية وإيران بوساطة صينية؟
Well, I think that the Chinese who helped facilitate the meeting between the Iranians and the Saudis and the agreement to exchange ambassadors and to discuss other areas of cooperation, the U.S. has welcomed that. We have, and the Biden administration from the very beginning has looked for ways to reduce tensions in the region. And if this helps advance that, that's a positive development, and the U.S. will be supportive. The Chinese role is the Chinese role. China is an important player in the region. They're the number one economic partner for many of the states in the Gulf region, including Iran and Saudi Arabia. And so, the fact that they were able to assist in these discussions is a good thing. We shouldn't forget that the Iraqis and the Omanis also played an important role in helping to bring Iran and Saudi Arabia together.
عند هذه المرحلة ما الذي يقف حجر عثرة أمام مفاوضات السلام؟
I think that there are many issues between and among the Yemenis that have to be addressed. It's one thing to stop the fighting, and that's a positive thing. We should encourage that. But there are major issues about governance. Who is going to form the new government in Sana'a? What is the role of the Houthis in a government in Yemen? Certainly the Houthis can't be the government. They have to accept that there will be other forces. There is a humanitarian crisis, as you know, that has to be addressed. The economic situation in the country is very bad, and ways have to be found to help Yemen get its economy working again, get people back to employment, get money coming into the country, all of those things. And then there are political divisions, even within the government, the Presidential Leadership Council, the Southern separatist movement, other kinds of conflicts inside of the country that are not about the Houthi government conflict, but other problems, other issues that have come up. So it's going to be a challenge that Yemenis are going to face, not just right now, but over the coming years, to try to get the country working again and back on its feet.
بحديثك عن الفصائل السياسية، المجلس الانتقالي الجنوبي قال لوسائل الإعلام إنه لن يكون ملزما بأي اتفاق سعودي حوثي يمس الأمور المتعلقة بالجنوب. تعتقد أن ذلك سيؤثر على التوصل للاتفاق؟
Well, I think that the STC is important on the ground. They don't speak for all Southerners. There are many different views within the south of Yemen. But nevertheless, the Southern Transition Council is a major factor, and they are part of the Presidential Leadership Council. So they definitely have a voice. And this is one of the challenges that Yemen is going to face. What kind of system of government are they going to have going forward? Is it going to be one country? Is it going to divide? If it divides, is it going to divide into two parts, into 3 or 4 or 5 parts? All of these things have to be resolved before Yemen can really move forward. And what happens with the South? Remember that in the National Dialogue Conference, the Southern issue was one of the major pillars of the dialogue, of the negotiations back in 2012 and 13, and that still remains an open question.
مسؤول حوثي بالمقابل قال إنه إذا استمرت السعودية في انتظار اتفاق يمني قبل مغادرتها فإنها ستنتظر لسنوات عديدة. هل تتفق؟
Well, that statement was made, but then we've heard since then that in fact there is progress being made on these 3 tracks, including the track of Houthi discussions with the government, with the Presidential Leadership Council. So I hope that was just a statement that really was not a real reflection of where the Houthis are, but we have to wait and see. We don't know.
مضطرة لأسألك هنا، هل سيناريو انسحاب السعودية مطروح أساساً؟
Well, that's an issue, and the Saudis have played an important role in stabilizing the security situation over these past 8 years. And if they were simply to walk away now, you're absolutely right. It might give the Houthis the idea that they can resume their military offensive and take the entire country. I think the Presidential Leadership Council would be in a very difficult situation. So it's important that as the Saudis discuss with the Houthis opportunities to end their engagement, that they do it only with the idea that there will be some firm understandings in place that will keep the Houthis from starting the fighting all over again. Saudi Arabia can't walk away from Yemen. They have a long border, and what happens in Yemen will always affect security and stability in Saudi Arabia. So the Saudis have an interest and will always have an interest in making sure that the situation inside of Yemen remains stable and that they have a government in Sana'a that they can work with.
موقفك جدا واضح وإيجابي من الدور السعودي في اليمن. في المقابل وسائل الإعلام الغربية تنتقد بشدة دور التحالف في اليمن. هل لك أن تفسر لي التناقض هنا؟
Well, it's a very good question, and I have to say that I am one of the people here in the United States who does believe that Saudi Arabia has played an important positive role in Yemen. It's been a difficult period. I think it's been difficult for the Saudis. It's been difficult for the Yemenis. But you're absolutely right. Had it not been for the Saudi intervention, I think the situation inside of Yemen would be very different. It would be far more difficult, not only for Yemen, but for the region and even for the world. So I've been a supporter of the Saudi intervention. But you're absolutely right. There are many Americans who I think don't understand the nature of the conflict and have always seen this wrongly as a fight between Saudi Arabia and Yemen. It's not. This is a Yemeni civil war. The Saudis have helped prevent a military takeover, a military coup inside of Yemen, and that's been an important factor for getting us to the point that we're at now, where maybe there's some hope that we'll get to a political resolution.
أستاذ جيرالد، شكرا جزيلا لك للمشاركة معنا في حوارات السياق.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
مشاهدينا، شكرا على طيب المتابعة. إلى الملتقى.